I'm Ann Powers. I'm the head of school at the Parish School, and we were just talking about welcome to those of you online and those of you who are face-to-face. We really appreciate it. Tonight is such a special night because we recognize at Parish that when students come to us, it's just for a season of time, and we're one small part of a much larger story. And I think every family that walks through the door, and even our older students, there's all these questions and wonderings and excitement and sometimes a worry about what life looks like after Parish. And there is always life after Parish. And so tonight is a really special time that we can pause and celebrate all the beautiful stories from our alumni and our families. And it's just a really fun time of joy and sharing hope. And so thank you for making time to be a part of this. And thank all of our panelists, both here who are here face-to-face and those of you that are online, for being willing to share your stories with us. It means so much. So I'm going to go ahead. The format tonight, I'm going to introduce all the speakers that we have, and then we'll take turns telling our stories from there, coming up to the podium. So our first speaker is going to be David Spisak, and his mom Jennifer is here with him tonight in person. David attended the Parish School from August 2010 to May 2016, and he's a senior at Stratford High School in Spring Branch. David's been accepted to the Automotive Mechanic School at the Universal Technical Institute, where you're taking your lifelong passion of cars and moving that towards becoming an automotive technician. So David currently has a 3.7 GPA at Stratford. Congratulations, a lot of hard work there. And he's the lead sports photographer for the school yearbook. And this past fall, you were voted runner-up homecoming king, which is really excited by his classmates. And in his free time, he enjoys expanding his ever-growing collection of cologne and recording Metallica-inspired riffs on his electric guitar. So we're so glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our other speakers so they can come up and hang out here. We also have Charlotte Morrison joining us with her mother, Kristen. Charlotte came to the Parish School from 2008 to 2009, and she's currently a senior at Duchesne Academy of the Sacred Heart, where she maintains a 3.57. Also, congratulations, really hard work there. And she works as a cashier at Juicewell. So we can tip her well when we see her there. She's also
working at the after school program at school now.
Oh,
she retired.
I don't think we
updated that.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so you retired from Juicewell. Okay, your chance to tip her well has come and gone. Sorry, but she's working at an after school program, which will parlay well into your passion. She wants to become a speech language pathologist, so that will be good experience for that as well. She also volunteers many places, including the Houston Holocaust Museum and the Houston Food Bank. And she's currently volunteering for us here at the Parish School, which is exciting. And you love to read in your spare time, right? Yeah. And her next big adventure is college. So she may talk about that a little bit tonight. And then we have the Hastings family, Ashford, and his mom, Lauren. And Ashford attended the Parish School from 2000 to 2003, and he went on to attend Stratford High School, where he played football for the Spartans, and he graduated in 2017 as a salutatorian, which is great. Ashford studied biomedical engineering at the University of Texas, but his active interest in computer science led him to supplementing his coursework with an additional self-study in hopes of becoming a software engineer. Ashford graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering last May, and he remains in Austin to join the State Street Corporation as a software engineer. He's been traveling to many different countries, and in his free time, he enjoys his lifelong passion of playing guitar. We should have a Parish School alumni band, and he performs various gigs around Austin. So It's great to have them here. And we also have Shelley Gordon. She attended the Parish School from 1999 to 2002. She went on to the Faith School and then the Emory Winger School. She graduated from Trinity University for her undergraduate degree and the University of Texas at Dallas for her master's degree in communication sciences and disorders. After leaving Parish, she remained involved with the Parish community by volunteering and interning at Camp Acorn and Camp Social Superheroes and the Career Center. And Shelley is currently a speech language pathologist for an independent school in Dallas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And she's starting her own private speech therapy practice. And she lives with her fiance, Kyle, and their cat, Ben. So welcome. And Shelley's parents are Melinda and Steve Gordon. Steve Gordon has been a longtime faithful supporter of the Parish School as well on our board. So we're so excited to have all of you here. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Bisas.
Me to go first?
Okay. Hi, I'm Jennifer Spivak. I'm David's mom. And I think one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about tonight was how I used to come to these as a mom in search of inspiration and help seeing outside of the weeds. Because when you have a kiddo here, you know, it can be really challenging learning about all the different ways that they're trying to help your kid and then being consistent. But furthermore, whenever I would be just worried and scared and frustrated when I found out the first year we were here that this was an event that we could go to, I mean, I immediately signed up because I needed to know that things would get better. And it's really hard to just hear other people go, oh, I promise it gets better. When you see it gets better. You know, David used to have to leave class frequently because he couldn't manage his emotions. And then after he left Parish, he came to Memorial Middle School, where I am currently an educator. And we worked really hard on his IEP to make sure that all of his needs could be met. And in the transition from, I would say, 6th grade to probably 8th grade, night and day. By the time he was in the 8th grade, he probably left class once or twice a day. And then he's in high school and COVID happened. And that was frustrating because it was his 16th birthday was celebrated in isolation. And what a developmental time for kids, right? Especially kids who have needs with social skills. And David was, you know, like all of our kids, were inside for several months, if not longer, depending on what we chose. And I chose to keep him home the first 9 weeks since I worked in the public schools. I knew that it wasn't going to be quite ready for kids to be back in. And so we kept him home. And that was from March, until October. It was a good 6-month span there that was just such a challenge. And then we got back into school. Everything came back slowly to normal. And I just watched him excel. I watched his grades go up. I watched his friendships increase. I watched his social activity, and I watched, it get better, and how he started making connections with people and meeting new people and signing up for things and doing things and going places. It delayed him getting his driver's license. So that was another thing that was frustrating. The anxiety that was coming from COVID was something that we all had to, I think, work with our kiddos. But then once he got behind the wheel of a car, off he went. I mean, it was so huge for his independence. And so I think what I wanted to hear when I was a parent was not only that it got better, but that if I could just meet my child where they were, and not push for things, but just meet them where they were, that they would get a grasp of it and move on with just our support and not our pushing. And boy, it's been night and day. It really, really, really does get better when they leave Parish. So I'll pass it over to David so that David can talk a little bit about, what life is like now in high school and how the Parish School has helped him to be, successful in high school. That's common. Yeah.
I'll continue on the transition from high school, or from elementary school over to middle school. It was sort of difficult for me. just realizing that it was going from a private school to a public school was sort of a change for me. The way that they did things was a little bit different. I had to refer to the way that I referred to teachers was different. The set of norms and rules was different. So it was kind of a difficult transition, but once I kept going every single day and getting to experience it every day, that's when I got used to it. And that really helped me a lot. And I did not think it would help me. I thought it would make things worse, but it really helped me a lot. And so going from middle school into high school was a piece of cake for me. And I remember one of my friends telling me, who was in high school at the time, who I went to camp with, telling me that high school is one of the coolest places that you can ever go in your life, and that you will meet all of your friends in high school. You will be yourself in high school. You'll basically find yourself in high school. And that was, it was true. And I'm still experiencing that. And the fact that I'm a senior and about to graduate high school in 2 months is mind blowing for me, because the end of my freshman year and the start of my sophomore year was cut short because of COVID. And so I just have this big hole in my high school career that I'm not going to get back. And so once I started my senior year, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to do everything that I want in high school this year, but also I'm going to try out new things that I've never done before and get a feel for what that's like. And that's the reason that I joined yearbook, and that's the reason I became a photographer. And I found that I had a really big passion for taking photos and taking videos, and it reignited my passion for sports. So I would continue to go to every single football game and volleyball game and baseball game, etc., and just do my thing. I'd be on the sideline, I'd be taking photos, I'd be in my zone. But what I found really awesome about that was the big games that I went to, I was usually positioned right in front of the student section. And so there was constant screaming in my ear. And when I got home, my ears were ringing and I could barely hear anything. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because I can admit that we have the loudest student section in Houston right now. And I just thought it was really cool that I got to be a part of that, and that I got to capture some great moments for the yearbook this year. And I have multiple coaches reaching out to me saying, hey, can we use your photos for this? Can we use your photos for that? Like for the girls basketball team this year for senior night, the coach reached out to me and was like, can we use some of your photos, print them out, frame them, and give them to the girls for senior night? And so it was really special to me, because they were going, not only were they going to frame it, but they were going to give it to them so that they could have it for the rest of their life and remember it for the rest of their life. And I can proudly say that that's my photo. And that's really important to me. Music, I found music in high school too. I started running track freshman year, but I found that it was getting a little too competitive for me. And so I quit at the end of my freshman year, and I found a couple friends who were musicians themselves, and I started listening to more music because my friends were like, hey, listen to this song, listen to this album, listen to this band. And I found my passion for metal music, and I just started listening and just diving deeper and deeper. And one of my friends I found in high school played guitar, and that made me want to get a guitar. And so I got my first guitar, I think it was the start of my sophomore year. And I thought that I could do it myself, but I couldn't. I tried to teach myself and I couldn't. It was really hard for me. But where most people would give up and put it down and let it sit, I decided to keep going and to take lessons and to look up things, like look up how other people played it and see other people's techniques and what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And so that really helped my playing a lot. And I found my style, I found my rhythm. And I started writing my own music. And I have an entire 64 gigabyte SD card that's just almost filled to the max with audio recordings that I've made over those past 3 years. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I didn't know somebody was
I didn't know
introducing
if they have, yeah.
Okay.
On it. Right on. Okay. Oh my gosh, try not to cry here. I'm about to get emotional looking out here and seeing one of Ashford's teachers and therapists. But about 22 years ago, I remember sitting where y'all are today and listening to stories of parents and former students and just about their life after Parish and thinking, wow, I mean, I can't imagine my son getting to that place. And as I stand here today, I'm gonna get emotional. I am truly in awe of my son Ashford and all that he has overcome, all the obstacles from the start, and just the progression that he's made way beyond anyone's expectations. And it all started with the early intervention at Parish School. So the love, the encouragement, and support that the teachers and therapists just poured into Ashford every day were immeasurable. And I'm convinced that this, along with their expertise and the individual treatment plan and Ashford's hard work, that really put him on a path that just changed his life. And so we are forever grateful to Parish School. So about 18, 20 months years old, his father and I started noticing some red flags, kind of wondering what's going on. He was in a lot of play groups. We were around a lot of other children, and he was a little bit different. He didn't give us any eye contact, no eye contact with anyone. Kind of had like a glazed look on his face. And at the time, maybe said 2 words, would have a lot of babbling. But we'd call his name and he wouldn't turn or look at all. So we were concerned. Definitely some sensory issues. He would, when he transitioned to baby food, he would gag and like vomit. We weren't able to put a toothbrush in his mouth, same thing. He refused to like walk on grass, or he would cry. Just a lot of things like that were different. One of the other big things is he would line things up very repetitively. So at the time he loved Veggie Tales, and hopefully that's still out. I don't know what that is, but loved the little stuffed animals. He would line them all up, and he would also line up the Veggie Tale VCR boxes. That's how long ago this was. He had a methodical order about it. And if anyone came in and picked up a box, changed it, anything, he would have a huge tantrum, huge meltdown. So anyway, I voiced my concerns to his pediatrician, and about 20 months old, and he sent us initially for hearing evaluation, which everything was normal. And then to get speech and language evaluation at Texas Children's, and obviously they found delays. And from there, I think there were still a lot of concerns. So he sent us to the big guru at the time. I'm not sure if he's even still around, but it was Dr. Danny Williamson, a developmental pediatrician. And so, went through all kinds of testing with him. And Ashford, lots of testing, and came back that he had pervasive development disorder, PDD-NOS, which now they say autism spectrum disorder. At the time, it was unheard of. I mean, this is a long time ago, and I didn't know a soul who had a child with this diagnosis. Even just looking it up online, very little information. We just were at a loss, like, what is this, and what do we do? We want to help our child. So Dr. Williamson referred us to, speech therapy, occupational therapy, oral motor therapy, all kinds of things, but best of all, referred us to Parish School. So we applied, and in August of 2000, Ashford started, and he was 2 years old, 1 month, and he was the youngest child at the time that the school had taken. So I remember we would drive, we lived in Greatwood out when it was two lanes. So it would take, a good hour or more, to drive in. And that was not a fun time for Ashford, lots of tears all the way here. So that was tough. I remember just thinking, the first day, like, what have I done? Because he cried the whole way there, cried when he got out. But, I got out of the car and talked to some of the other parents, and just this whole piece came about me like, wow, this is the place. I finally found other people that understand and that have kids, with learning differences and language delays. And it was just such a weight lifted off of us. And from that point on, he received, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, everything, a lot of things here, most things here, some things out, but 5 days a week, twice a day, some of them. And we pick him up from here and go wherever to take him. And he continued that the whole time he was here. I really feel like that the individualized treatment plans here and the multisensory learning, when I looking back at his scrapbooks, the drama, the music, cooking, the sensory time, storytelling, imaginative play, all these things were just really instrumental for him at that young age. The therapist and all his teachers, they not only became, Ashford's lifeline, they were also my lifeline. All so encouraging and supportive, and they cheered with us in Ashford's any success, and then they cried with us in anything that he fell back on. And that was just so comforting. I can tell you, I never would have made it through those times being alone and just not knowing, much about this diagnosis, and it not being out there in the world without these teachers. And we're so blessed that there's 2 of them here, Jennifer online and Renee here. And that's just means the world to us. They just loved, all the teachers and therapists just truly loved Ashford, and we loved them, and it was just wonderful. We were in those small metal buildings nestled in the trees on Timberline, and Ashford was in the last class, I think, that graduated from there. And such a small little place, and such amazing memories and incredible things just happened there. So I'm going to go through some specifics maybe that Ashford had where he started, and then kind of where he was after, because I want to be able to give y'all some encouragement. When he started here, other than the red flags I mentioned, he also was really passive and was not interested really in doing much of anything. And by the end of 3 years, he had a huge passion for learning. He was always asking questions. He absolutely loved stories and imaginative play, music, drawing, art. And as he transitioned into lower school, he really had this vivid imagination, just incredible. He loved writing comic strips and stories with very elaborate characters. And this just transitioned and just kept getting, bigger and bigger. And I really attribute that all to Parish School. He also, developed like this. He loved the book time at Parish. He loved books, and he started really reading a lot more and got very into books. Always liking to learn more and seeking that out. As a young child, maybe in first grade even, he decided he was interested in the solar system. So then he would research everything he'd find on the planet Venus. And I remember him doing a PowerPoint like presentation back then and handing it out to all his friends, so whatever it would be, he would get very focused on it and just learn everything about that topic. And again, as I look back over the memories and the books from the teachers and all, I see how this repetitiveness that y'all did with them and what that really helped him later on in life with. So he was also very socially withdrawn and just really no desire to interact with his peers or adults really, or anyone. And by the end of the 3 years, his pragmatic skills had just grown significantly. Really, the school gave him that confidence and learned how to engage with peers, and he would choose group activities over even playing by himself, which was absolutely huge. So then as he transitioned into lower school, we had lots of play dates just to keep up the social, and he enjoyed play dates and parties and started in on team sports, and that was just something really huge that the school helped him with. Of course, language school, Ashford started and really just had 2 words in his vocabulary, just a lot of babbling. He wasn't able to express himself and didn't understand, I think, basic verbal cues. And by the end, he was able to communicate his needs and wants. He was he still is, express his thoughts very enthusiastically, and able to follow instructions and everything. And as he was younger, he had a huge vocabulary, would go into great detail, loved giving presentations. And I remember one time when they had a how-to project in 2nd grade, everybody's doing how to, throw a ball or how to, bake a cake or whatever. And Ashford's doing, how to write a comic book. He went through a phase where he just loved writing comic books, and he has a whole character and everything, and loved that. So another big thing were the fine motor skills. When he started, he was unable to hold a crayon, couldn't hold a spoon to feed himself or grasp objects even. And this significantly improved over the whole course of 3 years. He was able to write with a pencil when he graduated, and computer, even able to get dressed himself. And even more impressive than that, by 2nd grade, he started guitar lessons, and that was huge. Someone that was so delayed, fine motor skills, where we thought, how's he ever going to be able to do anything? And somewhere along the way, we were even told that you may need somebody to follow him to school to be able to type for him, because he's not going to be able to write. Someone along the way, we heard that. And, to think that he was able to play, and I'm sure he'll get into that more, lifelong passion of his. And he just played at South by Southwest last week even. So very proud of him. Also, his gross motor skills were very delayed. He would fall a lot, and couldn't even roll a ball or push a tricycle pedal, not any climbing, any of that. And by the end, he loved jumping on the trampoline. He could catch a ball. He was on the playground, just, a regular kid having fun. And that was really huge, and something that Parish gave him. And from there, he was able to play baseball, soccer, swimming, later on football. So we attribute that to Parish also. And then there's so many things that the school did. I'm just trying to pick a few. But another one, these sensory issues that I mentioned, where they worked with him so much, the finger painting, the painting with their feet, the shaving cream. Asher would gag, sometimes vomit, touching any of that. And, couldn't walk in the grass, couldn't touch sand, everything. And by the end, I have a picture of him at the farm on the when they went on a field trip here, just throwing hay, which that of all things is not, something soft. So, and he was able to wear clothes that had tags in them. He could walk barefoot, and he no longer was gagging with food. And he even later started eating sushi, which we were just shocked. How can he like that? So from Parish, he transitioned to Grace School. And that was, a really great placement for him. He continued in like occupational therapy, and he continued in his social skills group for several years, really. And the teachers there worked really hard on all the Parish schools therapists and teachers, all their suggestions. And I want to make sure I say that as well. We did that as well. His father and I did just really listen to all the advice they gave us and try to implement that at home, because I think that's just as important to carry that on. But Ashford, did really well at Grace. The teachers thought in second grade that he would probably benefit from a more challenging environment. They were having, maybe some little bit of behavior issues. And so we had him tested at 2 private schools, one where he scored 100% on their testing, but they did not accept him. And they said, he does not fit in our box. He's just not kind of following the instructions, thumbing through the paper and, kind of moving around a lot. So we were like, wow, what do we do now? We ended up transitioning from Grace then to public school in Spring Branch and Wilchester and Rummel Creek, then Wilchester. And it was the best thing for him ever, really. The teachers there, by this point, I think maybe the diagnosis things were a little bit more known, and they were very accommodating, and they embraced Ashford's differences. They were trained in these learning differences, and they would allow him like to chew gum if he needed to, or to stand and do his work, or sit in the corner and do his work, whatever it was. Very accommodating at a public school. I also want to say that along the way, one of these physicians told us that he would never be able to excel in a public school with a large classroom setting, that would not happen. And that was not right. So, it was a great thing for him. And from there, he went to Memorial Middle and then Stratford and UT. He'll speak about all that. I will say in middle school, he did receive accommodations in middle and high school, had the 504 plan. In middle school, we went back to Miss Renee, more social skills, needed a little bit more during middle school. And that was so helpful and so great. And I just hope that our story can give y'all hope and encouragement to know that wherever your child is like today, that's not, the end of their story. There's so much more. And we are forever grateful to, Renee Attaway right here, Jennifer Lewis, who I know is on, Becky Mahal. I'm calling y'all all by your maiden names because that's just what's in my mind. But all the teachers and therapists, we're so grateful. Ashford, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much for the kind words. I think my mom got a lot of my story down. So, I don't think I need to say too much. So thank you, Mom. So I guess I'll start off by saying that, having I guess high functioning autism, I think a disorder like having like that really, especially when you're getting diagnosed at such a young age and receiving this treatment at such a young age, it becomes less of like an isolated, easily identifiable in yourself condition, more of something that just becomes a part of who you are. And just like everything, like how you think, how you behave, just your overall perspective as you see it through your eyes of the world, And I really, really attribute the people who helped me out so much at Parish School. All of, I know Miss Jennifer is here tonight, and I would like to thank her very much, as well as Miss Becky, Miss Renee, who y'all may not know, but people, my mom, everyone else, because they gave me the tools to, people, I'm sure most people with autism are very, very different, right? And at a certain point, you're able to get that different and make it work for you. You know what I mean? You stop going through all of these struggles, all of this angst, all of this kind of like hardship. And it's, there's definitely rough patches, right? but year after year, you're able to figure out things just like socialization. You're able to kind of understand who you are, how you fit into the world, just by these like small little things where you're able to like understand yourself, understand how people work, understand how the world works, understand your reactions to things. And once you start to kind of go, like every single year of my life, I've felt better in my skin. And I seriously mean that. Like from when I was in elementary school to today, every year has gotten better, right? And I attribute this 100% to the people, at Parish School, who gave me the ability to get to this point where I could continue to get better on my own, to where I was given these tools to learn how to cope, to learn how to, socialize, right? And then, then what's left standing is I can get the parts of myself that are very, very different that I do want to keep, right? These parts of my identity that I want to emphasize, that I choose to emphasize, and I can really, really make that who I am. So, I've done a lot since middle school and stuff like that. I've been able to, have lots of friends, go out, I've played lots of music. I went to, traveled for 3 months this summer, right? Alone. I didn't even have a plan for it beforehand, right? And, it's a lot of people that have I don't want to say a lot, but, there's many, a lot of this stuff, these are skills, to get to this point. This was, I really do believe, through Parish School. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Miss Jennifer. Thank you to my parents. Thank you to every educator who's ever helped me.
Hi there. I'm Kristen Morrison, and this is my daughter, Charlotte Morrison. And today is a really special day to be able to come full circle and for us to be here together. Our journey to the Parish School started when Charlotte was about 4, maybe a little sooner, and she was in preschool. And from the time that she was about 2, we noticed that Charlotte had some quirks that made it difficult sometimes for her to be able to communicate, even though she really, really wanted to, with those around her. And I should preface this by saying that my background was in special education, and I was working with children who had learning differences at the time. And when I brought the concerns to my husband, he said, "You're just looking at her with therapist eyes. She's fine. She's going to grow out of it." And the frustrations turned into tantrums, and birthday parties became more difficult, and home life became more difficult as she decided that she wanted more and could communicate less. And so after being on the therapy treadmill, as I call it, where you're going to the speech therapist and the occupational therapist and, the ear doctor and all of it, a good friend of mine named Robin Reamer said, "Kristen, it's time." And we lived across the other side of the world from Parish School, and we had 3 children under 3 and a middle schooler at the time. And I remember driving out here and thinking, there is no way I'm going to do this every day. There's no way it's possible. And my husband said, let's just give it a try. And Charlotte, who had been really sad and really frustrated for so long, got out of the car and met with Maria Hammond, who had done her intake. And when Maria sat down and said, "Kristen, it's time. This is what Charlotte really needs." And I saw this very frustrated child suddenly become so happy that she had had this time on this beautiful playground and in this school. And she got in the car, and I think we all cried the way home because we realized there was no other choice but to come. And so after 2.5 years of being here, it was time for Charlotte to go. And we weren't quite sure if it was too early, but Wendy Wiseman was really sweet. She held my hand, and since Charlotte has a little brother that's just 18 months younger, he was already at the Faith School. So we used him as our donor child, as I like to call it, to get our foot in the door at the school. And it was May. And Wendy said, if you're going to try it, you got to try it. So the admissions director over there said, I'm not sure we can take a child from the parish school. And, I just want to make sure that we're the right fit, blah, blah, blah. And I said, just give her a try. I promise, just give her a try. And so she said, all right, 1 week of summer camp, and we're going to give it a try. And all the different teachers who are there are going to work with her. And at the end of the week, we're going to make a group decision about it. And I said, all right, that's fine. Every day I dropped her off. Every day I picked her up. Couldn't quite tell how things were, but she seemed happy. And on the Friday, I didn't even make it into the carpool line. And the admissions director, Allison Tier, came out to the car and she said, I just want to tell you that it's unanimous. She's coming. Like, we can't accept any other decision but to have Charlotte join our school the next year. And so the transition from parish school to the Faith School came rather quickly. And suddenly I realized, oh my goodness, is this what I really wanted? Now I was suddenly afraid to kind of go back out into the big bad world where people might not understand her and might not just automatically know what she needed, and how is she going to survive without a picture chart and a schedule and all of that. And thankfully I relied on my background, but I also took huge cues from the people who had trained me as a parent here to be Charlotte's best advocate. And so every year before the school year would start, I would request a conference with the teachers and I would say, I want you to know Charlotte from the beginning. I know that you're going to have your chance to get to know her, but I need you to understand the things that might be more of a struggle for her than for some. And every year I was surprised at how some teachers, would be like, I don't know if this is going to work. And other teachers would, be taking notes, just tell us what to do. And you'd sit and worry and wonder as the, first few weeks of the school year went on. And then we'd get to a parent teacher conference and the teachers would say, oh my gosh, she far exceeded our expectations, and she may still struggle with this or that, but we're figuring it out and she's helping us figure it out. The road wasn't always easy. I think that's important to point out, is that your time here gives you as a parent everything that you need to help advocate for your child, and gives your child a keen awareness of themselves, and a toolbox full of tools that they can access at any time, but they need that reminder along the way. And every time there was a transition from, a lower elementary to an upper elementary, or when she graduated from the Faith School and, I argued her way into Duchenne for middle school, I never took no for an answer. And I usually found that if I could convince them to crack the door open and just meet her and just spend a little time with her, they would give it a try. And every single time she has defied expectations. She's an amazing, amazing girl. And she's tested frequently, as these great kiddos are, because I don't think that the world realizes just how strong they are. And Charlotte being in her senior year, at the beginning of her senior year, as we started college applications and trying to figure out what it was that she wanted to study, she was kind of picking and choosing things that I think she heard other people say, that's kind of how they figure out their place in the world, right? From the time that they're little bitty, I'm gonna parallel play. I'm gonna do what that little guy's doing at the blocks, or whatever. And that was kind of what she was doing. And we started talking about it, and she did move from her smoothie shop job because she was miserable to working in the after school program at Duchenne. And she came home one day and she said, I really, really love this. And I really didn't realize how much I enjoyed working with children, and one thing kind of led to another, and she applied for her internship here at the Parish School, and I'll let you tell that story, given that. And so we feel like this has been just a really special time for her, because she's been able to come full circle with it all and give back to the school that's meant so much to us. So maybe I'll turn it over to you, Zika.
Yeah, I work at the Parish School now with Duchenne. It's like part of the social awareness thing, and it's super fun to come here and like, first of all, come back to like the school that I used to go to, because even though I was really little, like I still kind of remember it, and like I know that it like shaped me into who I was, because if I hadn't come to the Parish School for the small amount of time that I did, I do not think I'd be where I was now, for sure. Anyway, yeah. What else should I say? Hold on, what else should I say?
Well, maybe you should talk about how you've navigated high school.
Oh, yes. So I always had like learning differences, but I have always figured out a way to like work with them in the way that's best for me. So like in elementary school, I was diagnosed with dyscalculia, and that was really hard for me, and it still is hard for me. But I learned how to like communicate with my teachers and like be okay with like being different. It's okay to have to like stay in or like tutor or like get extra help on things, even though if like other people weren't. Because when I was in elementary school, I found that was really hard, and I like compared myself to other people, even though like learning differences and stuff, like it doesn't make you like, it makes you like different in like a good way. So yeah, that's something that I've learned. Anyway, and now I do that at Duchenne. So I have like, like accommodations and stuff, but I've also like been able to like grow past those. Even like I started from such a like low place, and now I am succeeding really well at Duchenne. So yeah, if that gives good thing. Yeah, anyway. What should I say?
So we are so grateful for the Parish School. And we're grateful not for what they gave Charlotte at that time, but for what that time here is doing for her future. So good luck.
Shelley, do you want to go next?
Yeah, do you want me to go or do you want my mom to go first?
Either, whatever you guys are comfortable with.
I can let my mom go first because I mean, from the beginning, it was really, I mean, I was the kid, but it was a lot of it was her journey too. So I'll let her go first.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, everybody's touched on so many things, and I know that you've got young kids right now. So where our kids are, it's a whole journey. My daughter's an adult. She's going to get married next year. And she was actually a flower girl in Wendy's wedding. So anyway, full circle, but that's neither here nor there. What I can say is what Charlotte's mom was saying is always advocate for your kid. Never just accept what Shelley did leave Parish and went on to the Faith School, but she started at Faith and then went to Parish, went back to Faith. Faith School is a great school, but what Parish, when we left, I felt that the Parish School really gave Shelley a toolbox with these great tools on what was going to make her successful. And one of the things that the school told my husband and I is that, she needed to be in a small class environment. So we always looked for schools that were a small class environment. And actually, back in the day, and I don't know if the Parish School still does that, but actually, Margaret Necker, who we miss terribly, she actually came with us to look at schools to try and help us make the right decision. Because leaving the Parish School is a scary thing, because it's a safe little environment. Your child is being looked after and they're excelling, but they will, if you find the right environment for them, they will succeed in whatever environment, and you have to help them. And one thing that I can say is, and I'm gonna let Shelley talk about a whole lot, but one thing I do want to mention, that a lot of our kiddos have testing to get extended time and whatnot. And when your child is, those tests only last for 4 years. And so when they leave Parish and I don't know, they go into middle school and you have to take the tests so that if they're going into private school and they have to take that entrance exam, they need to get extra time, or even on the standardized testing to get extra time. And one thing that I failed Shelley is that I didn't get the test before she took the SAT. Anyway, so I encourage you, keep up with the testing. And then after that, Shelley continued to get the additional time in college. We found a small university that fit her. We actually started out with a much smaller school and realized that that wasn't the right fit. She did need something a little bit bigger. But you know your child, you know what fits your child. And so, you know, again, advocate for your child and don't stop the testing. The testing is so important. It's expensive, I know that, but it does help them in the long run. And they will succeed in their future. Just listen to what Parish tells you and what they advise you on what's the best way that your child's going to learn. And that will make your child successful. So I'm going to let Shelley take it from here.
My mom did not fail me. She did everything possible that I would want my clients to do. It's very weird because now I'm looking at it from like my client's eyes. As they mentioned, I'm a speech therapist now. I definitely attribute Parish to like essentially like seeing a career path for me. Like speech therapy was this random career path that just kept on popping up in my life after Parish with other family members, and it just was the thing for me. But I totally agree with my mom. Listen to Parish and what they have to say. They are just absolutely amazing, and they continue to give back even after you're done. Like even though like I graduated in 2002, I mean I'm turning 30 this year, and they are still a very active part of my life. They're asking me to participate in something like this, and I will do whatever Parish asks me to do for them. My family loves them so much, but they will continue to give and give and give. Like they came to my bat mitzvah, they write me letters of recommendation. They gave me jobs when I like summers between college working at Camp Acorn. Like they just continue to give and to give and give, even though you might graduate and that is a scary thing. There's still going to always be an active part of your life. And you know, like, and I'm friends with so many of the teachers on Facebook, and I just see them, and like one of the clinicians at the Cruise Center, she's going to her daughter's going to Trinity, and I'm so excited for her. And we were talking about that, and that community never goes away. I mean, as a kid, to go back during my time at Parish, it was my safe space. It was home for me. My mom tells this great story about when she took me there during like those testing days that they have you do where you visit. I maybe was talking like 1-2 word utterances, and I made like a 3-4 word utterance saying, I like it here. I like Parish School, something like that. And, you know, when that's the first time your kid is saying something like that, you freak out and you're like, yes, take my kid there. And I think the story was that I was only supposed to stay for 2 years initially. And then we added on the 3rd year because they were like, she could be fine in the 2nd year, but she could do great in the 3rd year. And so I stayed for an extra year. And my mom also kept me in outside speech therapy as well. We don't know if we needed that, but that's what we did. Yeah.
They never told me to stop, so I never stopped.
Anywho, yeah, I continued on, and I went to private middle and high schools. I went to a small liberal arts school in college, which was another excellent choice for me. That might not be for everyone, but I know other kids from Parish who went to Trinity, and they loved it there as well. To be frank, their accommodations office isn't the most accommodating, but I learned how to advocate for myself at Parish, and that, you know, and I got all the accommodations that I needed. And then I ended up going to UT Dallas, which is the biggest speech language pathology program in the country. And I learned what I needed to support myself and know what I needed to get through that. And I thrived there. And, you know, I've really loved my career. As a speech therapist, I currently live in Dallas, and I wish there was a parish school in Dallas so badly. Just not because I want to work there. It's more that I want to be able to tell kids, hey, if this is an accessible option for you, do it, because it is the best place. They're doing all the right things. And as I'm learning more and more in my career, I'm like, yeah, Parish is doing it right. You're in the right place, or if you're deciding to come to Parish, this is an excellent place. It definitely, like my mom said, it gave me all the tools to become the person I am today, and forever thankful.
One thing that they did and that Shelley used all through her learning was you used flashcards or something. There was some tool that from the time Parish taught her, she used all the way through high school. I know, because I remember seeing that, and just the way they told her or taught her what was the best way for her to learn, or she figured it out one way or the other. So, again, my biggest advice is listen to what they say. When they wanted an extra year, I'm like, well, we can't go back. There's only one way to go. So, you know, take the extra time, listen to what they have to say, and advocate for your child. And you got lots of examples here. So.
And also just know that you being here is you putting in the work as a parent. You guys are doing your absolute best, and you guys are superheroes and rock stars. So, like, y'all are awesome.
Well, thank you so much to our speaker here and speaker online. Let's give a round of applause. And so we are so truly thankful and humbled by your willingness to share your stories. So I know that there are going to be questions and answers. So Holly's going to help me with people who are remote. And certainly if there's questions in the room, I'm going to see if I can sort of pivot my camera to show all of you. But do we have any questions for anyone online or from the chat at all?
Maybe in the Q&A right now.
Okay.
But feel free to pop that in.
I have a question just to get us started from someone online or someone, a parent or student. What's your favorite parish school memory, if you have one?
I remember one time me and a couple of friends were playing on the hill that was right behind the playground. And my friend Patrick it was like the day after that we learned how to make paper airplanes. And I made one myself, and we were going to go off the hill and throw them and test them out. And I had a teacher named Janine at the time who always wore her hair in a bun. Every single day she wore her hair in a bun. And I remember Patrick throwing he threw it as hard as he could. It didn't go very far. And I knew that the lighter he threw it, the farther it would go. I threw this plane in the opposite direction of where she was, and it circled back. Like it went so high, and then it circled right back down and landed right in her bun. And I remember us all dying laughing on that hill because it was so perfect. It just went stuck right in the middle of her bun.
I love that.
And she whipped around and looked at us and smiled and started laughing too. And I just remember that being a really cool moment.
Yeah.
So I have a favorite. I remember that.
Yeah.
When we started here, it was everyone's collective stories that made me think of this. When we started here, David didn't communicate with us. It was very, what do you want for dinner? No open-ended question. Do you want chicken nuggets for dinner? Yes or no? No. Do you want chicken nuggets for dinner? No or yes? Yes. It's very difficult to figure out what he wanted because he couldn't authentically answer a question. So lots of tears and frustration for lots of years. Elsie was his teacher in pre-K kindergarten. And I think we've been here, we were coming up around Thanksgiving time. And so I asked David every day on the way home, how was your day at school? And he started quoting Clifford the Red Dog, but he put us in as Mary Elizabeth and Clifford. So, I play along. And then I asked him one day, closer to Thanksgiving, on the way home, we lived in Sugar Land, so we had a bit of a commute ourselves. And I said, how was your day at school? And he answered me, and I had to pull over to cry. It was the first time I had a conversation with my son at coming up on 6 years old. So that is my favorite memory, because obviously it's very, impactful and emotional, but, we were just hoping for little things, and to me, that was the beginning of something big. And Elsie was just instrumental in pre-K. So he was a year behind. Like, when he tested, he tested at a year behind. And I'm like, oh wow, so okay, well, bummer, but it is what it is. And he had completed the entire pre-K curriculum in one semester, and then done the entire curriculum. And the next one, and it was with his same age years from first grade. That's how we were expecting. But you know what? That's what this school does for kids. That's what this school does. They, with small numbers and that high teacher-student ratio, really meeting them where they are and doing that direct intervention, they get them where they need to be, and they can just thrive here. So my favorite memory is the first time he
A good one.
John
So when,
Yeah, it's at the top. If you're sticking,
when Charlotte first came, she had been in another preschool where basically all she did was stay at the painting easel. I had like just stacks and stacks of temper paint pictures, because that's all she would do, because that was her safe haven. And she was actually quite shy, even though inside at home she was not. And she loved to play dress up, because she could dress up and be something else and kind of have that dialogue happening in her head without having to have a dialogue with anyone else. It was safe. So on her first day of school here, she put on her school uniform proudly, and then proceeded to pick out a pink tutu that she wore underneath her uniform, and white bunny ears that she wore on her head, and a huge cupcake backpack. And she got in the car that day, and when you drive your child to the first day of school, anytime you're like, how's it gonna go? Is she gonna get out? Is she gonna, be hanging on with the death grip? Is it gonna be tiered? What's it gonna be? And I remember they opened the door and they said, hi, Charlotte, are you ready for school? And she picked up her bunny ears and she put them on, and she said, yes, I am. And she hopped out the door, and I watched her walk down that sidewalk, and it's still a very, very vivid memory for me. And every day, the entire 2.5, 3 years that she was here, she wore her bunny ears, and we have 11 pair at home in a box tucked safely on top of her good news books. And so hang on to your good news books, because just recently we had pulled them out and went through them, and oh my gosh, not only did the memories flood back, but the dialogue of how she used to talk, and then they're so great, they're so scripted, they're so detailed. I mean, I don't remember those things like are recorded here, and I think it was so motivating for Charlotte to see that that's all I could say. Really, that's all I could say. So I really find that to be a very, very special part of Parish School.
I think in the grown were like little things, but like I don't remember it feels like 3. I remember the sandbox.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fun because so many of the memories that we hear at events like this are around the sandbox or the hill, or through our arts and sciences and music and different things like that. Yeah.
Like a volcano thing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories was when, and I didn't realize it at the time, they were having the holiday concert or whatever, and Shelley was there, and she did a solo of dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. She's the only Jewish kid there, so they have her do this solo, and she nailed it. And I had no camera because it was back in the day before the cell phones, and so I ended up with this itty bitty Polaroid picture, and it stayed on my computer I don't know, 10 or 12 years, I never took it off because I was so proud of her up there doing her solo. And yeah, that was one of my most favorite memories, but too many memories to remember. But the one thing that Shelley was talking about when she went for her testing, 2-day testing. First day I pick her up, she's like, Mom, there's a lot of boys there. That's what she tells me. I'm like, okay. And then the next day I pick her up and she's like, sign me up. That was exactly what she said. I think we even bought a brick at the school that says, sign me up. And then she didn't want to go back to Faye. She was like, she realized that this was where she needed to be. And so, yeah, that was my wonderful many wonderful memories.
No, I just like remember, I don't know, Parish just does a really good job of making each kid feel so special. Like every kid feels so special, so seen, so loved. And like I just remember like all the plays and musicals that we would do, like those were always so fun. And there was one year where I was in the car, like the art car parade with the Parish fan, and Mitch had us painted, and it was just like the most fun thing. And like, I don't know, just like any kind of event they did, they made each kid feel so special. It wasn't like we're just one group. Like, I don't know, I just remember that feeling.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that I can't see a full list of participants, but I know that Terry Garth was blowing up my phone earlier. She's our drama teacher, and she was like, make sure they know I'm here and saying hello. So I don't know if she'll be able to pop on, but she's watching and she's listening, and I know she's so proud. Yes, hi, Terry.
Oh, there she is.
So Holly, you were waving at me. Was there a question? Oh, okay.
Pop in here.
Yeah.
But we have a question online that says, well, not really a question. She says, thanks to all, I had my son, a 4th grader, watch tonight, and it's very empowering and to hear all of the stories.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well,
Are you there?
yeah, Terry, are you there? I don't see her. Well, hey.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you now. Yes, we can't.
Yay. Oh, yeah. I just want to say I wish I could be there in person, and I am so proud of each and every one of you. And I have cried all the way through this presentation. You are amazing.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you so much once more, and enjoy your evening.
Yeah,
Thanks for
and I just
coming.
want to say one thing. I wasn't gonna come tonight because we were trying to go through this whole transition process as well.
Mhm.
I got a bunch of notes. So it's the universe telling me that my son is where he needs to be, and just me accepting. So it's good. I thought that this was gonna be really just kind of hard to hear,
Yeah.
but thank you.
When the time is right, you'll know.
Mhm.
What better place to be too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bridget. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that too. And feel free to mingle. We really appreciate you joining us online and in person. So have a great evening and good night.
You.
All right.